morning. I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is the regular meeting of the Kernersville Board of Aldermen, Tuesday, June 29th, 2021. We'll begin by an invocation. We are honored by the presence of Pastor Carol Fulton, Children of Zion Outreach Ministry. Amen. Thank you, Pastor Fulton. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. All right, so we'll begin this evening with the ceremonial presentation that is on the agenda, presentation of proclamation declaring July as Parks and Recreation Month. Ernie? All right, that was recognition of July as Parks and Recreation Month. And now I asked our town clerk, Keith Hooker, to come forward. We are celebrating our town clerks. You and Beth Price do a great job for us. Keith as the clerk and Beth as the deputy clerk. The celebration officially is annually in March. And so we were in the middle of everything that was remote meetings and all of this. So we just want to give you a formal recognition with the board here, and appreciation for your service as a municipal town clerk. So thank you very much. Do you have a few words?
I'd just like to say it's a pleasure and an honor to be able to work for the board and town manager Curtis Swisher, and to be able to work with town staff. Thank you.
Thank you. From time to time, we have elected officials from other jurisdictions. We have staff from the state come, and today we have Mike Fox here with us, and I'll give him a few minutes to speak. We welcome Mike Fox. He is an attorney, the chairman of the North Carolina Board of Transportation, and recently appointed president and CEO of the Piedmont Triad Partnership. Mr. Fox, welcome.
Alderman for having me here tonight. Facility, sorry. All right. Did I need to start over? Could everyone hear me well enough? Okay. We came over and visited an industrial site here in Kernersville and had a good visit then. And you're obviously a key part of the triad. As a matter of fact, you're right in the middle of it. So that gives you a leg up on the economic development that is going on there. And you certainly have a lot of it here. And you're also right in the middle of a lot of infrastructure projects. You've got the Winston Loop to your west, and you've got the Greensboro Loop to your east, and there are improvements planned on both Salem Parkway and I-40 right at the Guilford-Forsyth County line. So there's going to be a lot of road work and infrastructure projects going forward in the next few years, and of course, I believe that the infrastructure that we have now and the infrastructure that we've planned over the last 20 years are really key to the economic development that we're seeing now. A lot of companies are looking to locate here or expand here because of the infrastructure we have, not only the road network, but the airports and the rail that we have in this area. So all of that is key. You are poised the right spot to take advantage of it. So I'm glad that you're doing that. And I'm always happy to see news about new businesses in Kernersville and also, new people moving in, new residents as well, because that's an often overlooked part of economic development, but you have to have the workforce and you have to have a place for them to live. And it has to be a desirable place that they want to live. And certainly Kernersville embodies all of that. You get a small town feel, but with some very big city amenities and services, and you're right in the heart of everything. So thank you for having me here tonight. Thank you to my friend Ed Powell for facilitating the invitation. And I'm happy to answer any questions if anyone has any about the Department of Transportation or our projects going forward.
Are there any questions? Thank you. Thank you for your time tonight and your
Great.
service.
Thank you very much.
All right, we have a long agenda, but some of it is similar to each other. So if you look at the agenda, we have 13 public hearings. However, many of them are related, so that we'll be able to consolidate some of the staff presentations and vote on the matters we need to vote on and discuss the things we need to discuss. So when an agenda item is denoted as public hearing, persons attending shall be permitted to address the Board of Aldermen regarding the item under consideration, those speaking in favor, speaking first, and those against, speaking second. Proponents and opponents shall each be given 20 minutes of time to speak and may choose to allow one speaker to utilize the time or allocate the time amongst different speakers. In the event that either proponents or opponents have not designated a speaker or speakers to represent that view, the mayor shall divide the 20 minutes by the number of speakers wishing to address the Board of Aldermen, and each such speaker shall be allowed that given time within which to express his or her comments, ideas, concerns, expressions, and desires. After the opponents speak, the mayor will allow the proponents 5 minutes for rebuttal. If the proponents choose to exercise this option, the opponents will also have 5 minutes for rebuttal. In the event that the proponents do not present a rebuttal, then the opponents shall be given no further time to speak. All right, so item 1 is the public hearings. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, and J, K, and L will have one presentation by staff. We have here to present our Community Development Director, Jeff Hatling, and our Community Development Manager, Catherine Garner.
Good evening, Mayor and Aldermen. Thank you for the time tonight. This is the last of the North Carolina General Statutes 160D changes, we think. We hope, since July 1 is the deadline to have this done. So I have just a few notes on each case, and I'll go through those now. We'll begin with KT 252. The general statutes allow for administrative level minor modifications of certain types of approvals and permits. It gives clear statutory authority to a practice most municipalities were already doing, including Kernersville. The text amendment incorporates the minor modification standards that currently apply through a Board of Aldermen resolution for consistency. So we've just taken what you approved as the resolution and incorporated it into the ordinance. KT 253 allows or clarifies the process for enforcement procedures, including notices of violation, inspections, both general inspections and of potential violations, revocation of permits, and stop work orders. The proposed ordinance incorporates the 160D changes as well as the practices and processes used by the zoning administrator currently. KT 254 allows that a planning board can be appointed to serve as a preliminary forum for review and comment on quasi-judicial permits, such as quasi-judicial decisions, such as special use permits. But if so, the board rendering the final decision cannot consider any of the information obtained in the preliminary forum. So our recommendation is to remove planning board as a preliminary forum, since none of the information that they gleaned could be shared with the Board of Adjustment and used in their decision making. So that would reduce an applicant's delay in having a decision heard. KT 255 provides clear and detailed instruction on how a quasi-judicial process should be handled from start to finish. So a lot of 160D clarified the quasi-judicial process. Many of these were already included in our UDO, but some have been additionally codified. Sorry, our cable is having some issues up here. We might need IT's help. Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Adam, if you could check on the connection for the video for Ms. Garner.
The connection's back up. You'll need to restart your slideshow or resume your slideshow.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ta-da. Thank you so much. KT 255, this is quasi-judicial procedures. Many we were already in compliance with. We added a few more that just for clarity for the process and transparency. So we also took this opportunity to reorganize a little bit of the language that was already in the UDO so that general information that applied to several different types of cases was grouped at the beginning for clarity. KT 256 incorporates or provides the process for incorporation of other maps that are created by state or federal agencies to be adopted into the town zoning map. This reduces time to incorporate the updates as they're provided by those state or federal agencies. Many of these maps are flood related, such as what's in the floodway, the flood fringe, and for insurance purposes. So this is just the process to incorporate those officially. KT 257 is a requirement by 160D that if we charge fees for support, administration, or implementation of development regulations, the fee must be used for that purpose. So this is just making sure we're in compliance with what the state has put out. KT 258 is the expedited review of certain minor subdivisions. The state statutes clearly lay out which types qualify for this expedited review, so the list has been incorporated for conformance. KT 259 is regarding bona fide farms within a municipality's extraterritorial jurisdiction and their exemption from city zoning to the same extent that they would be exempt from county zoning, and it clarifies when other municipal development regulations apply. KT 260 is relative to long-range plans and comprehensive plans, other special plans. This text amendment clarifies how these plans are formally adopted. That follows the same legislative process with public notice, public hearings, and adoption by the governing body. With this one, we are proposing the creation of Chapter E to the UDO, as we anticipate that the General Assembly will likely put forth additional guidance on what comprehensive planning needs to entail in the future years. And so this would give us a place for that text to be located. KT 261 addresses the process when a comprehensive plan amendment is required for a zoning amendment, such as an amendment to the Kernersville Development Plan and Land Use Plan and a rezoning happening simultaneously. Municipalities are prohibited from requiring a separate application or fee. Though we often handle these cases separately for clarity, we've not required a special fee or another application, but we added it for clarity to our process. So this statute also says that if the zoning map amendment is approved and is not consistent with the future land use map, the future land use map is deemed amended by your approval, but it does not amend the text of the future land use plan. KT 262 reiterates the posting requirements for zoning map amendments. Our existing language was signs have to be posted at least 15 days in advance, which is more than the state required minimum of 10 days. We added the no more than 25 just so that nobody got a little too far ahead of the game and then would require reposting. KT 263 is an update to the language regarding multi-phase developments. We had 100 acres and the new state minimum is 25 acres. So this just brings our language into conformance with what the general statutes defines multi-phase developments as. So for all of the 160D text amendments, staff is recommending approval. Planning Board heard these cases and held public hearings on May 10th and June 14th, and they recommended approval as submittal as well.
Okay, if there's anyone who'd like to speak in any of these public hearings, items 1A through 1L that have just been presented, or item 1M, if you could fill out a speaker card and bring it to the front of the room. Keith, prior to the meeting, have you received any speaker cards? Okay,
I have not, Madam Mayor.
thank you. All right, I will call item 1A, zoning docket KT 252. Does the board have any questions of staff regarding this item? Okay, I will declare the public hearing open. Is there anyone here who'd like to speak in favor? Is there anyone here to speak in opposition? Seeing none, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion by Alderman Thompson.
Second.
I have a second by Alderman Boyer. All in favor? It's unanimous. I'll call item 1B, zoning docket KT 253. Does anyone have any questions of staff? All right, I'll declare the public hearing open. Is there anyone here to speak in favor? Is there anyone here in opposition? Seeing none, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Chris Thompson.
For approval, denial?
Approval, 1B.
Okay. Motion for approval by Chris Thompson. Do I have a second? Second by Alderman Cruz. All in favor? Okay. Next is agenda item 1C, zoning docket KT 254. Does anyone have questions of staff? Seeing none, I'll declare the public hearing open. Is there anyone here to speak in favor? Is there anyone here to speak in opposition? Seeing none, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Do I have a motion?
I move approval.
Motion to approve by Alderman Joe Penix. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Second by Alderman Thompson. All those in favor? It's unanimous. I'll call agenda item 1D, zoning docket KT 255. Does anyone have questions of staff at this time? All right, seeing none, I'll declare the public hearing open. Is there anyone here to speak in favor? Seeing none, is there anyone here in opposition? Seeing none, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Do I have a motion? I have a motion by Alderman Cruz. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Alderman Thompson. All those in favor? It's unanimous. All right, I'll call agenda item 1E, zoning docket KT 256. Does anyone have questions of staff? Okay, I'll declare the public hearing open. Is there anyone here to speak in favor? Is there anyone here in opposition? Seeing none, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion by Alderman Thompson. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Alderman Bruce Boyer. All those in favor? It's unanimous. I'll call agenda item 1F, which is zoning docket KT 257. Does any of the board have questions of staff?
No.
Okay, I'll declare the public hearing open. Is there anyone here to speak in favor? Is there anyone here in opposition? Seeing none, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Do I have a motion?
I move approval.
Motion to approve by Alderman Penix. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Thompson. All those in favor? It's unanimous. I'll call agenda item 1G, zoning docket KT 258. Do any of the board members have a question of staff? All right. I will declare the public hearing open. Is there anyone here to speak in favor? Seeing none, is there anyone here in opposition? Seeing none, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion by Alderman Thompson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Boyer. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Next, I'll call agenda item 1H, which is zoning docket KT 259. Does the board have any questions of staff? All right, I'll declare the public hearing open. Is there anyone here to speak in favor? Is there anyone here in opposition? Seeing none, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Do I have a motion? I have a motion to approve by Alderman Kenny Cruz. Do I have a second?
Chris Thompson.
Second.
I have a second by Alderman Chris Thompson. All those in favor? It's unanimous. All right, the next agenda item is item 1I, which is zoning docket KT 260. Do any board members have questions of staff? Okay, I'll declare the public hearing open. Is there anyone here to speak in favor? Is there anyone in opposition? Seeing none, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Alderman Thompson to approve. Do I have a second? Second by Alderman Kenny Cruz. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Next, I'll call agenda item 1J, zoning docket KT 261. Does anyone have questions of staff? All right, seeing none, I'll declare the public hearing open. Is there anyone here to speak in favor? Seeing none, is there anyone here in opposition? Seeing none, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Alderman Chris Thompson. Is there a second? Second by Alderman Kenny Cruz. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Next, I will call agenda item 1K, which is zoning docket KT 262. Does anyone have questions of staff? All right, I will declare the public hearing open. Is there anyone here to speak in favor? Seeing none, is there anyone to speak in opposition? Seeing none, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Do I have a motion?
Move approval.
Motion by Alderman Boyer. Is there a second? Second by Alderman Penix. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Next, I'll call agenda item 1L, which is zoning docket KT 263. Does any of the board have questions of staff? All right. Seeing none, I'll declare the public hearing open. Is there anyone here to speak in favor? Is there anyone here in opposition? Seeing none, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve by Alderman Chris Thompson. Is there a second? Alderman Kenny Cruz has the second. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Our next zoning case is an amendment to the UDO amending Chapter B. It is agenda item 1M. Ms. Garner?
The next text amendment has nothing to do with 160D. I know you're all so excited. So the request before you tonight is a modification to the UDO language regarding oversized accessory structures. The current language restricts accessory structures to 5% of the lot size or the minimum permitted lot size of the zoning district, whichever is smaller. The proposed would restrict accessory structures to 5% of the lot size or the minimum permitted lot size of the zoning district, whichever is greater, but the accessory structure would not be allowed to exceed the size of the principal structure without the special use permit by the Board of Adjustment. So with the proposed revision, the accessory structure size would still scale at the same 5%, but those who have lots that greatly exceed the minimum permitted lot size of their zoning district would be able to have one that is 5% of their existing size, not 5% of a much smaller size. We looked into previously approved cases. On the screen and in your packet was cases that go back to 2016. There were 11 total cases. And we found that with the proposed language, 9 of the 11 would have been able to be approved at the staff level. So we found also no record of the board ever denying a request for the special use permit. So we feel that it will speed up the process to obtain a permit while reducing the application cost to the citizen and improve the process without jeopardizing neighboring properties with the change to allow staff more flexibility in size for approval. At hearings, there's rarely opposition, but the few instances that we know of and can think of off the top of our head, including the one that happened last night, it was mostly neighbor to neighbor civil matters that the Board of Adjustment would not have been able to get into anyways. Planning Board and the Board of Adjustment have seen this proposed text amendment. It was included in the June 14th Planning Board hearing, and both were recommending approval.
Are there any questions of staff? All right, this is a public hearing. I'll declare the public hearing open. Is there anyone here to speak in favor? Is there anyone here in opposition? I'll declare the public hearing closed. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Alderman Thompson. Do I have a second? Second by Alderman Kenny Cruz. All in favor? It's unanimous. Okay, that's the end of our public hearings. Next is our public session. The first item is 2A, speakers from the floor. Mr. Hooker, has anyone signed up in advance of the meeting to speak from the floor?
No, Madam Mayor, they have not.
Thank you. Is there anyone here who would like to address the board on an item that is not otherwise on our agenda? I think that's background music for our speakers of the floor section. So now that we've had the intro music, is there anyone who'd like to speak on a non-agenda item? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to item B. It is the consideration of a resolution setting the public hearing for a voluntary annexation petition by the property owners for properties located off Witt Road containing 203.57 acres, more or less. Ms. Garner?
So this is a resolution to set the public hearing for a voluntary annexation for a proposed business park. The rezoning will be considered at the July 12th Planning Board meeting. This property is about 142 acres east of Macy Grove Road and south of 421 Salem Parkway. It is on the Forsyth County, Guilford County line, so it extends into both counties. High Point and Greensboro have been notified according to our annexation agreements. And so this is just the setting the annexation hearing.
Could you repeat how many acres the property is?
The property itself is 142 acres, but then we're also including the business 40 right-of-way. So that's what increases it, and that makes it the contiguous annexation.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying. Are there any questions of staff? Go ahead.
I just have a quick question. So you said it was
142 acres of land, and then they're also including the right-of-way for business
so
40.
there's 60 acres for right away? Because
It's
this
a
says
long
203.
extent.
Okay, I just want to confirm that. That's a lot of right away. Thank you, Mayor. That's all I have.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion by Alderman Thompson. Do I have a second? Second by Alderman Cruz. All those in favor? It's unanimous. All right, the next item on the agenda is 2C, which is the consideration of a resolution setting the public hearing for a voluntary annexation petition by Curtis Swisher, agent for the town of Kernersville, for properties located off Heartland Drive containing 0.423 acres, more or less.
Madam Mayor, we would
Mr.
like
Swisher.
to request that the board withdraw this item from the agenda.
Okay, do I have a motion to withdraw?
So moved.
Okay, I've got a motion by Alderman Thompson. Do I have a second? Second by Alderman Cruz. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Do you want it reset to a future agenda? Okay.
No, we'll put it back on at some point.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
We'll put it back on at some point.
Okay, thank you. All right, the next item is 2D, consideration of utility extension agreements with Brookford Properties LLC and Vicki M. Maid and Benny Darrell Marshall for properties located in the southeast quadrant of the Kernersville Medical Parkway and Brookford Road intersection. Mr. Swisher?
Madam Mayor, you have a memo in your packet that shows the two properties, the location of those properties on Medical Parkway. We've looked at this, Jeff Hatling, Ms. Garner, myself, and the estimated sewer line cost is somewhere around $300,000, and it will generate at build out probably about $170,000 a year. So you have the extension agreements in your packet. So what that is we would agree to run the utility extension to those properties they would agree to annex those properties into the town of Kernersville so that we can receive the tax base from that.
Thank you. Are there any questions of Mr. Swisher or our planning staff? I just have a suggestion. When I pulled up the agreements, it says 2020, not 2021, and we still have our attorney, Mr. Wolf's address at his old address. So before we
Okay.
sign those, I'd update those.
Yeah,
But
we'll
other
update
than that, I
those.
think it's great. So thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Curtis. Thank you. All right, do I have a motion? All right, I've got a motion by Alderman Cruz, I think a second by Mayor Pro Tem Fulton. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Is there anything further on that item?
No.
Okay. All right, the next item is 2E, consideration of an ordinance amending traffic schedule 2 of chapter 9 of the Code of Ordinances to remove Lambeth Farm Lane from the list 25-mile speed zone and add Lambeth Farm Lane to the list 20-mile speed zone. Mr. Swisher?
Madam Mayor, you have in your packet the ordinance that removes Lambeth Farm Lane, as it said, from the 25-mile speed zone and adds it, and actually says in the ordinance, to the 20-mile speed zone. I'm sorry, I was reading it wrong. So we're basically asking the board to drop the speed from 25 to 20. We have some folks here at the first meeting this month, I think, that spoke to that. So the decision at that time was to put up some signs that said no parking here at a corner and also reduce the speed on Lambeth Farm Lane. So staff's recommending that. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Are there any questions? Mayor, I just have a question to the lady in the audience, because I know you live there. Has that helped with the signs?
If you
Okay.
could come forward,
Oh,
because
I'm sorry.
we're streaming it, and so people won't be able to hear it without using the
Yeah,
microphone.
and you should probably say your name. I should address you properly. Sorry about that. Thank you, Mayor.
Mr. Swisher, is the microphone on at the podium?
It is.
Thank you.
And so I'm Carolyn Roney, and the signs have helped some. And I spoke to the chief a little bit ago. I think we're gonna get a few more. We're still having some issues with the roundabout, but I think that'll be taken care of once we get those. We saw some speeding on Lambeth Farm and on Lakeway. And so that's why we were requesting those, because if you go through on Lambeth Farm, it's a dead end road essentially. So people fly through, go through the roundabout, and there's nowhere to go. So it's kind of an issue there. And then of course, going through the roundabout to down Lakeway. So that's really what we're dealing with. But the signs have helped I think for the most part. So.
I have one other question for you, Ms. Roddy. Since you're having trouble with the roundabout, do we have arrows painted over there with that?
There's a sign up
Right.
that shows like where to go. Really, the issue is people park right around that curve.
Mhm.
So when people are coming the opposite ways, you cannot on the Lakeway. You can't get through because if you come around that roundabout, you kind of got to go in now into the middle of the road for both ways. So that's what we talked about. We're getting 2 more signs put up, so maybe people won't be parking in that curve of that roundabout.
Perfect.
So
Well, thank you. Is there anything else you need?
I don't think so, not right now. I
Okay.
think that's helped a lot. So
Awesome. Thank you.
thank you.
That's all, Mayor.
Thank you. All right, are there any other questions? All right, do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve.
A motion by Mayor Pro Tem Fulton.
I'll second.
I have a second by Alderman Boyer. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Okay, we are to item 2F. Consideration of an ordinance amending traffic schedule 1 of chapter 9 of the Town of Kernersville Code of Ordinances by adding certain streets to the list of stop required in all directions. Mr. Swisher?
Madam Mayor, this particular road is not far from McConnell. It's Lake Drive and Bluffwood Court. Bluffwood Court is a new subdivision that was built probably a year or so ago. The issue there is, and police department's been out several times and looked at it, cars parked almost right at the curve as you go into Bluffwood Court. So if you're coming out of Bluffwood Court and pull up to the stop sign, it's a little bit of a hill. You can't see if there's a car parked there. You can't see anybody coming down Lake Drive. You know, and the cars are parked legally. They're not too close to the curb or anything. They are parked legally. It's just the way the road is designed. So the best way to solve the problem, we think, is to have a three-way stop, have them stop in both directions on Lake Drive. And then, of course, there's one already on Bluffwood Court. So that'll, you know, that way there won't be anyone pulling out on Bluffwood Court and not being able to see what's coming down Lake Drive. When we were over there the other day, you just about have to pull out into the middle of Lake Drive to see what's coming if there are cars parked along the road. The houses have small driveways. If they have two cars, you know, they can get in the driveway, but if they have 3 or 4 cars, somebody's parking on the road. Or if they have company, anything like that, they're parking on the road. So we think this, you know, for safety aspects, this is the best way to handle that situation.
Are there any questions? Do I have a motion?
I'll move approval.
I have a motion by Alderman Boyer for approval. Is there a second?
Second.
A second by Alderman Thompson. All those in favor? It's unanimous. All right, in the moment everyone has been waiting for, item 2G, consideration of the budget ordinance and schedule of fees and charges for the operations of the town of Kernersville for fiscal year 2021-2022.
Madam Mayor, this is essentially the same budget that you all saw through the budget workshop and then the public hearing. As I said at the briefing, we did add one item to that, and that is the real-time crime center. It did not change the tax rate. It changed a little bit of the way the revenues line up. We allocated some more, $10,000, I believe, from the fund balance, a little bit more into permit and inspections, but we covered most of the expense of that. We reallocated some items in the police department over to the forfeiture funds. So that got the real-time crime center. As I said at the briefing, once we have that up and running, we'll come in and give everyone a demo of that. Some of you have seen it, some of you have not. So, you know, it's a great tool to use to help fight crime and to help stop crime. So we're looking forward to that. Everything else in the budget is exactly as you saw it in the draft budget. There were no changes made after that. And there will be a few changes made in the budget message to reflect, you know, the changes in numbers with the real-time crime center. So what it does essentially is it lowers the tax rate from 57 cents where it currently stands to 55.9, and everything else is the same. Be glad to answer any questions. You have the ordinance and the memo in your packet that will set that budget for fiscal year 21-22.
Are there any questions or comments?
I'd like to thank Curtis and department heads and staff for all the hard work they've done on this budget. It's a busy time of the year and we got a lot going on coming out of COVID. Thank you for all you've done.
Thank you.
I'd like to also express appreciation for adding the real-time crime center. I have seen that in operation at the Forsyth County Sheriff's Office. And I think that will be a deterrent and also help in apprehension.
I'm also eager to see the crime scene come in with all the hoodlums that's passing through and trying to wreck our town, and we've been quiet and did very, very well, and I'd like to keep it that way. And I thank Curtis and the staff for all their work and consideration, and as much as we've accomplished, you deserve a pat on the back.
Thank you. Those folks out there in the audience did most of the work. I just kind of cut out what they had in there and made it balance.
I'd like to make a motion if you're ready for approval. I think it's a good budget, and I know y'all worked hard, so thank you all.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Fulton, a second by Alderman Boyer. All those in favor? It's unanimous. The budget ordinance and schedule of fees and charges for the operation of the town of Kernersville for fiscal year 2021-22 has passed unanimously. Thank you, everybody, for your hard work. All right. But we're not done with 2020-2021. The next item on the agenda, 2H, is consideration of an ordinance for budget amendment number 9. Mr. Swisher.
I promise you, this will be the last budget amendment for 2021. We're not coming back to do another one. This one is pretty small. As you can see, it's $67,000 or $67,000, $57,000 to cover transfer over to the Kernersville Creek Greenway for some materials testing and contract with McGill and Associates. We are just about ready to begin work on the Greenway after 14 or 15 years. So I'll be glad to get it up and going. And Ms. Garner and myself met with some folks the other day about the Mountains to Sea Trail. It's not related to this, but you know, greenways and Mountains to Sea Trail and all of that, they're a big part of communities, and you know, they're really good for the communities that have those. So we're looking forward to getting this segment done and moving on with some other segments in the future. If the next one takes 15 years, you know, that hopefully we can get it done faster, but you know, never know. But we're excited to get it going, and this budget amendment will cover some of that as well.
Okay. Do I have any questions, or is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Okay, I have a motion by Chris Thompson. Do I have a second? I have a second by Alderman Joe Penix. All those in favor? It's unanimous. All right, item 2I is consideration of a lease agreement with the Kernersville Museum. Mr. Powell.
Madam Mayor, members of the board, this is a lease between the town of Kernersville and the Kernersville Museum, consisting of the real property located at 128 West Mountain Street, the property located at South Cherry Street, and all the property being the caboose located at Bodenhammer Street. All this is better known as Kernersville Museum, Kernersville Museum Annex, and the Kernersville Museum Depot. And it's a one-year lease with a fee of $1 a year.
Thank you, Mr. Powell. Are there any questions?
I just have one question. We had looked at when we renewed this lease, or it had been discussed about allowing them at special events to be able to have other beverages, and I didn't read that in there. Are we still trying to do that, or we're going to wait? I didn't see it in here. Maybe I missed it. Okay.
It is not specified in the lease. This is similar to what you have with the Women's Club on Salisbury Street. It will allow beer and wine for special events. But we don't specify that in any lease that we have with a nonprofit organization.
Okay, I just thought we had discussed it. So in the lease, where's the blanket or the umbrella to allow it?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Wolf. In our lease, I see, or I understand you're saying we don't specify it, but what umbrella is it going to fall under if people question it?
It is no longer, when you lease the property, then it
becomes their
belongs to the
responsibility.
lessee
Okay.
rather than to the town of Kernersville. We don't allow beer and wine, but we lease it to an entity, and then they can do as they may see fit.
Okay, that's what I needed to know, because somebody's going to ask me, and I want to make sure I'm accurate. Thank you. That's all I have, Mayor.
Okay, is there a motion?
I move to approve.
I have a motion by Alderman Penix. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Thompson. All those in favor? It's unanimous. All right, the next item for our consideration is item 2J, consideration of a resolution regarding a local government commission application for a financing contract for capital purchases and improvements. Mr. Swisher?
This is the application that we are required to submit to the LGC for financing the items that you just approved in the budget for 21-22. I won't go through all those. It's all the capital equipment basically that's in the budget. The improvements to Civitan Park, improvements at Ivy Redmond, and so forth. So this has to be done before we can go out, go to the LGC with financing packages.
Would you like to cover items K, L, and M as well?
Yes, ma'am. K, L, and M are intents, notice of intent to reimburse. You have one for the purchase of a fire truck. The reason they're separate is because they're different financing terms. So you have one for the reimbursement of the fire truck, reimbursement of the equipment, and then the reimbursement of the general improvements that will be made.
Okay, are there any questions of our town manager on items J, K, L, or M, or any of our other staff? All right, seeing none, we'll start with item J. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion by Alderman Thompson, second by Alderman Cruz. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Agenda item K, which is the equipment. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion by Alderman Thompson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Boyer. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Item 2L, which is the fire pumper truck. Do I have a motion?
Move approval.
I have a motion by Alderman Penix.
And I'd second, please.
I have a second by Mayor Pro Tem Fulton. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Item M, which is the general improvements. Do I have a motion?
Motion for approval.
Motion for approval by Mayor Pro Tem Fulton. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Thompson. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Okay, we are now to items N and O. N is consideration of a contract with Edward L. Powell, PA, for legal services. And item 2O is consideration of a contract with John G. Wolf III for legal services. Mr. Swisher?
Madam Mayor, I'm a little bit on the fence about recommending these two guys to carry on as our attorneys. But given the short notice, we just don't have anybody better. So we are where we are. No, this is, as you have the contract for Ed Powell, his is to be renewed, and there's proposed for a year from July 1 to June 30th. John's same contract in 2019, recommending extending his contract out to the end of this year and then reworking that to where it would be basically pay him as we use him, pay him for the time that he spends. So, you know, when we brought Ed in, wasn't sure whether John would be 6 months to a year. I'm recommending to extend it out to the end of this year. As I said at the briefing, got right much going on that he's still involved in. Should have it wrapped up hopefully by the end of the year. If not, we can just, like I say, bring him in on kind of an as-call basis at that point. But really, they've done a great job. I've enjoyed working with both of them. They've worked with most of y'all as well during that time frame. So be glad to answer any questions. If I can't, y'all can grill them. I'll bail out.
All right. Item 2N is consideration of a contract with Ed Powell. Do I have a motion? I have a motion by Alderman Cruz. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Boyer. All those in favor? It's unanimous. 2O is consideration of a contract with John Wolf. Do I have a motion?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Thank you, John, for being willing to stay through the end of the year. but I didn't read it where it's extended. Do we need that in writing through the end of the year?
You just stated in here that in the motion to extend it to the.
Okay, well, I'd like to make that motion to extend through December 31st, 2021.
Okay, I have a motion by Alderman,
It's all good.
Mayor Pro Tem Fulton. A second by Alderman Cruz. All those in favor? It's unanimous. All right, item 2P is consideration of a construction manager at risk contract with Samit Corporation for the Recreation and Events Center. Mr. Swisher.
Madam Mayor, I explained at the briefing, you all have chosen and approved the architect for the building, CPL. And in the past, some of the buildings we've done, we just CPL or not CPL, but the architect has designed the building, we put it out, low bid was the contractor on it. On this one, it was recommended we try the construction manager at risk, various reasons to do that. We've been pleased with it so far, but in that process is what you do is you do a request for qualifications. You get those from the contractors. You select them based on the qualifications, not based on the price of the building because you don't yet know that price. They then come in and work with the architect. The architect designs the building. The construction manager at risk works with them to generate a price for the building. They then come back to the client, which in this case is the town, tell you what the price for that building will be. If you say, okay, we need to lower that price, they'll go back to the drawing board, change up some things, present you with some different options. We went out, request for qualifications. We had 4 folks submit those. Samit came out to be the top when we went through the rating classifications and rating scale. So we are recommending the construction manager at risk be Samit Corporation. They have a breakdown through it. The contract's about 56 or 57 pages and another 60 pages of exhibits and glossary and definitions and all of that. Their fee is 4.5% of the cost of the work and the cost of the building, and their pre-construction cost is about $151,000. So when you add in their pre-construction cost with the pre-construction cost of CPL, it's right in line with what it would be had we went the other method. So basically the pre-construction cost, that covers just what it says, everything up to pre-construction. You'll have a building, a design, you'll know what the cost of that building will be. You'll put it out to bid, all of that stuff. So we're recommending Samit. They've kind of already been working with CPL. We've been pleased with what they've done to this point. And if the board approves this, then we'll continue on the path that we're on with them.
Are there any questions?
I don't have a question, but I've got a comment. I just think that it's good to have a manager there looking over it after the big deal we've had in Florida. And we're going to have so many people there and in this building after we get it finished. And I think it's to our advantage to cut every inch of possible cutting corners and not building it up to code and be safe for us. So I think that's a good idea.
Okay. Alderman Cruz, I'm not sure we can hear you from your microphone.
I make the motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, a motion by Alderman Cruz, second by Alderman Thompson for approval. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Curtis, do you need anything else from the board to get started on this? All right. Ernie, when are we getting started? All right. When are we turning shovels?
Nope. All depends on the cost. That'll be interesting.
Starting in December, there won't be any chimney at all for St. Nick.
All right. All right, we'll move on then to item 3, which is the consent agenda. Item A is approval of minutes for the May 26, 2021 briefing meeting. Item B is approval of minutes for the June 1, 2021 regular meeting. All of these matters are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion with no separate discussion unless a member of the Board of Aldermen or a citizen so requests, in which event the matter will be removed from the consent agenda. Is there anyone who'd like to remove either of these items? Anyone in the audience? Staff or citizens? All right, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve
I'll second.
items 3A and 3B of the consent agenda.
Okay, I have a motion by Alderman Chris Thompson. I heard a second from Alderman Bruce Boyer. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Next, we have speakers from the floor. Is there anyone who'd like to address the Board of Aldermen on a non-agenda item? Seeing none, we'll move on to the town manager's report, which is item 6. Mr. Swisher?
I don't have anything, just like to wish everybody a happy 4th of July. We got the parade on Saturday, the 5K on Saturday, and the fireworks on Sunday, and then also have the opening of the time capsule. Hopefully it held up for 50 years. And we don't dig it up, everything fall out of the bottom of it, but we'll see. So busy. I know the museum has some events planned as well, so I have a busy weekend coming up, but I'd like to wish all of you a happy 4th. We'll be closed on Monday here, so.
Thank you, Mr. Swisher. Mr. Wolf, would you like to tell us about your travels to our sister city?
I hope you'll allow me just to sit here and talk rather than try and stand up. Trip was excellent. We'll have a lot more to tell you later on after Sister City has met and we've disseminated information to the commission and the association. But suffice it to say, it was a great trip. Alderman Thompson and I had a good time, but there were also serious moments when we had the ceremony for the signing of the Sister City Friend program. I will tell you, met with the mayor, who, by the way, is also the town or city manager, holds both of those positions, and extremely hardworking individual, a former math teacher in high school, very hardworking. After meeting with him informally, I saw him 2 more times in the next 2 days out on the streets, 6 o'clock in the morning and one about 2 o'clock the next afternoon. But the ceremony itself was very, very nice. I have to rely upon Ernie later on to give me the Spanish that was spoken in English and translate for me. But I do know from talking to the mayor who speaks English that they, meaning not only the government, but the people of Sushitoto, very appreciative of the town of Kernersville through Sister City program, making the overture and very readily admitting they are a poor town, city, and they need all the help that they can get. So they're very, very appreciative of our outreach, both as a Sister City friend and potentially for fire apparatus that would be used in the setup of a volunteer fire department for Sushitoto and a couple of other communities surrounding there. A great time. Went from along the coast in 2 trips from the border of Nicaragua to the border of Guatemala. really I covered a lot of the country before in my previous trip, but covered even more in this trip, and very wonderful people, and really enjoyed the trip. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wolf. Do you have anything else?
No, ma'am, that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Powell?
Madam Mayor, members of the board, I'd like to thank all of you for giving me the opportunity to continue to work with you in the town here and be a part of the great team of the town of Kernersville.
Thank you. All right, matters to be presented by the mayor and the Board of Aldermen. Mr. Penix?
Happy 4th.
Mr. Boyer?
Last Saturday was the first of the patriotic activities around the 4th. It was the 38th Miss Mary's Children's Parade, and appreciate the fire department providing a fire truck in Sparky, and the police department providing one of their officers to do the pledge and the prayer. And I appreciate the involvement of the town.
I appreciate the presence of the fire rescue chief and our police chief there, as well as everyone else who helped. Definitely the Kiwanis were incredible. So, Chris?
Oh, just happy Independence Day. Thanks.
You just what?
Happy Independence Day.
Oh, happy Independence
Thank
Day. Mr. Cruz?
I hope everybody has a nice Independence Day and comes out to the parade. I hope the weather cooperates and we can all enjoy it. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Fulton?
I would like to say that last Saturday was great, so thank you all for that. I know a lot of hard work from the Kernersville Museum, the Chamber, Fire Department, Police Department, Public Service, everybody has worked together to pull off this coming weekend, and it's very exciting. There's a lot of buzz in Kernersville about the parade, the time capsule, fireworks. I get text messaging, I get messaging on social media. Hey, is there really going to be fireworks? So I just want to say thank you. And one last thing I'd like to share with the mayor and the board and our town manager, town attorney, and our citizens is, given the strength of our community and given the strength of our board and our town manager, I'd like to announce that Friday I will be filing to run for mayor. And Dawn, I really want to thank you for the service that you have done the last 13 years. I'm looking forward to bringing a vision, and it would be an honor to serve as mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Fulton. Is there any further business before the board this evening? If not, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Alderman Thompson, second by Alderman Cruz. All those in favor? It's unanimous. This meeting is adjourned.